Next up, we're going to have Dr. Bettina von Stamm. Bettina wrote the second chapter in this book entitled Innovation, Beware of the Dark Side. So, Bettina, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much indeed. And I'm delighted to have been able to be part of the book, as the entire issue or issues around ethics, the dark side of innovation, ethical dilemmas, and so on and so forth are very close to my heart. And indeed, the dark side, or beware the dark side of innovation, is also in the title of my chapter. And it's 10 years ago this year that I first publicly talked about it at a big conference in Denmark. And I still remember how nervous I was talking about, the dark side of innovation, where everyone was so enthusiastic and innovation was the solution to absolutely everything and everyone wanted more of it. And I had come to the conclusion that there is a dark side when I realized, when asking people, say, why do you actually want innovation? There was not always an answer. It was more like, why, everyone wants innovation, everyone needs innovation. So what kind of question is that? And when thinking a bit more about it, I just found a handful of things that I would describe as being part of the dark side of innovation. And in the chapter, I pick up one by one, describe why I think it is a dark side indeed, or why it is a negative aspect or potential negative aspect of innovation, and finish with some suggestions on how to avoid slipping over to the dark side. And perhaps just to mention some of the points that I make. For example, the first one is connecting directly with Larry's chapter, which is a lack of purpose, and connects with the fact that innovation for the sake of it is certainly not a great idea, especially not in a world where we are having increasing pressure on resources. And just to do something without it really having a purpose, a meaning, a contribution to make, I think is increasingly irresponsible. I also think that in our desire for innovation, we are getting a little bit overactive. I just think when I checked it out, one of the figures I had was in 2015, there were 24,000 different Android devices. And I just think, do we really need all these devices? And I can only speak for myself, but when I'm going out and have to buy a new phone because the old one is no longer working, I try to push it out as much as I possibly can, because it's just so much choice, and I do not understand why I should choose one product over another. I guess that's why certain brands attract greater loyalty, because at least that reduces the number of models that you have to look at. I also think in terms of too much innovation, the talk is everywhere now about introducing 5G. And the beginning of this call, I pointed out that my connection here, my internet is so bad that I can't guarantee that I'll be able to contribute properly. So, whereas we are rolling out generation after generation of technology, we don't seem to be able to ensure that everyone can actually use what already is in place properly. So I think the other one more I probably like to mention here is when good innovation goes bad. And again, that really connects very well with the previous chapter, because I believe, at least I hope, that the innovations are made with the best possible intentions. The innovations are not created with negative intentions in mind. But so, for example, solar energy, solar cells have been created in order to make us less dependent on fossil fuels, and to support and nurture or protect the environment. And yet when I'm taking the train from the town where I live down to London, I see fields covered in solar panels. And it looks like underneath lots of chemicals have been used in order to ensure that the solar panels are not interfered with in any shape or form. So we are creating something with the best intentions, and then it is being used generally because it's more profitable in quite a negative way. So this is really looking at the different aspects of what I consider to be a dark side of innovation, and suggesting some ways around it, which unfortunately the ways around it have got mostly to do with morals and ethics and taking individual responsibility. So it is not an easy challenge to overcome or avoid the dark side of innovation.
Thank you, Bettina. And I think your chapter was excellent because it really opens our eyes, I think, to asking different types of questions about, can our innovation, a good innovation, turn bad? Are we going too far with innovation? Are we slipping over to the dark side? Are there implications that we're not considering? So I think it does an excellent job of really opening our eyes to that. I do have one question for you. You mentioned that you originally brought this subject forward about 10 years ago in Denmark. In the 10 years since that time, have you seen people's perspectives begin to change and open up more to understand this concept of the other side?
Yeah, I think it is still not something that is widely spread. I think that, well, I think that possibly, particularly the coronavirus, has opened the people's eyes to the challenges we face generally, and with the challenges that we face, that we can no longer continue to treat the environment, for example, as we do. I think as a side effect of that, I think it will question what kind of innovation we engage in. So, but I think it is not that there was a realization that there's a dark side, so innovations will have to deal with it. It was more a realization of the problems and challenges that we have created, and that therefore we need to take a different look at innovation. I don't know, does that make sense, the difference?
Yes, it does. And I think what you're saying, it does change our perspective a little bit about certain aspects of innovation. But it also sounds like we still have a long road to go before the world has really fully understood this and embraced the idea of the dark side of innovation. So that's very good. Well, thank you very much, Bettina.